Hey, and welcome back to a party game edition of Board Game Batcave, where we're going to take 5 party games we played over the holiday season and talk about them and rank them according to our standards. But we're going to just give it a score rather than sticking to our traditional 4 categories, and maybe introduce you to some new games that you've never tried yet. All these games we tried to pick were ones that we played recently and that we have that fit more than like 4 to 6 players or more, on up to 30 players. So won't we let the Viking start out with his first pick of a game to play?
2 Rooms and a Boom. We played this, I played it for the first time over New Year's Eve, and I thought it's a great party starter, I guess, or whatever. A ton of people can play. I guess you could even play up to like 15 or 20 people.
It says up to 30, actually.
That would be
It's probably more
crazy.
than that. It's more than that, actually, I think.
And basically this game is you're going to get one card, and it's going to give you a roll. And what it all comes down to is one team is going to have the president, one team is going to have a bomber. And you're going to have 3 rounds. You're going to try to deduce what role people are. And there's some backstabbing going on, and some lying, and some truth-telling, and you don't really know what's going on. But at the end of every round, you're going to swap people from one room to another. And the teams are trying to make sure either A, the red team wants the bomber in the same room at the end of the game as the president, or the blue team does not want that. And then you've got crazy archetypes like the mad scientist, or the bouncer, or mummies, or werewolves and stuff, and they all have cool little things. His daughter, Emma, loves to mime more than anything. For some reason, the girl that loves to talk all the time adores it when she can't talk in the game. She'll be like, like that, trying to give out clues, but without talking. And little kids love it. Adults, we all dug it and everything, and it was a lot of fun. And it's just a hoo-hoo trying to figure out what's going on. Real quick game, like the rounds don't last a couple minutes or so.
3, 2, and 1.
3, 2, and 1. So easily a game can be played in 10 minutes. We played this game over New Year's Eve. I bet we played 15 times. A dozen times at least, probably. And it was great. I've seen it before, where you're taking on certain roles, almost like LARPing or role-playing or something like that. But really cool. I'm going to give 2 Rooms and a Boom a 8.5. I thought it was a really cool game, and for the few rules and what little you have going on there, it's endless enjoyment for it, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. So great game.
Oh yeah, this is not only a fun game for kids, it's my daughter's favorite game.
I can believe it.
She begs to play this game, but it does not work for small amounts of people. But that's the part of the fun, is that it's a huge party game. You can have, like Werewolf, you can have up to 30 whatever people, but this game gets people up and moving around and talking to each other, and so it's a great icebreaker. Even if you have an odd number of people, there's odd gray cards that you can play. There's no team association. There's different advanced versions of it, so you can play just red or blue, or you can play archetypes, or you can play archetypes that can show cards to each other. And so there's levels of difficulty for it. It's the best part of this game to me was when I went and read about it before I got it. The designer put the game online for you to download and play. He wants you to download and print it out yourself if you want. He just wants people playing this game.
Yeah.
And it's super fun. It's you wouldn't play this any other time but a party is where this game is magnificent. Yeah. And I'm promoting the game just because I think people ought to buy this game now, because the guys have been so good about making it available. And you can't go wrong with it. I'm going to say about the same thing. I'm going to actually push it to a 9 just because it shines in its category.
Yeah.
We all the time say, as long as you know what you're getting into, this game is this. Well, this is a party game going into it, then you're buying the right party game. There's very few party games better than this, especially for large groups.
And different ages.
That's right.
Yeah.
And at my age, you always got kids running around at New Year's parties.
Yeah, and they love it.
Yeah. And so, 9.
Absolutely. I think everything you've said is right on the money here. And the big thing for me on this game is just the number of people So it's unlimited virtually unlimited as far as the number of people that you can pull into it. And then the way that it is going to force the party to mingle, and it's going to force people to come out and interact and just have fun with it. And it's definitely a game that the first time you play it, you're a little unsure exactly what's going on, but within the first round, you pick it up pretty quick and realize, okay, now, I see exactly how this is going to happen here and what's going on and everything. And from there, it's hidden identity. You're trying to figure out who needs to be where and how you're going to get them there. And there's going to be some characters that want everybody to know who they are, and they're just blatantly showing who they are. And then there's going to be others that are keeping it really, really quiet.
Or lying.
Or and of course, there's always going to be the ones who want to pretend to be someone other than they are and everything. So it brings all the different personalities that are at the party into effect in the game itself, and allows everybody to have fun in their own. You can be way over the top, or you can be still pretty reserved, but you're playing the game and having a good time. So it's I think it works great, like they've said, for big groups and diverse groups. And people that know each other really well, or people that are just getting to know each other. So it covers everything you need in a party game, which is the reason why I give it a 9. I think it's really strong.
Cool.
And as an additive, when we played this at our Christmas party, our guy Christmas party, it was meant to be an icebreaker for everyone just to get in the mood of playing games, and it turned out taking over the night. We didn't want to stop playing it once we started.
Yeah, we played about 5 or 6 rounds, just the guys playing.
Yeah. So there you go. I guess I'll start out the next game that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about Codenames, which I discovered over the holidays because my brother introduced me to it, and then my wife wanted it for Christmas. When you can't beat that when your wife wants a board game for Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's her favorite game. So I think it's currently ranked number 1 on the party game list on Board Game Geek, and probably some of that's the current hotness, but some of it's deserved. So the concept of it is that you lay down these a 5x5 rows of words, and they can just be anything from England to cat to tree to whatever. And 2 players on the team, a red team and a blue team. They have one representative of each team on one side of the table that can see a map that shows which cards they're trying to get their team to guess. And so they have to give a one-word clue that will try to encompass as many of the words that are their color as possible without having the team pick the wrong color, or the assassin card, which is the black card, which means you lose the game instantly. And so we played this, I think, with about 10 to 12 people over New Year's at one time. So it can go up. I think it says up to 8 plus on the box, but that's easily as many people as you can fit on one side of a table. And it's a quick game, especially if you lose a game quick. You have to guess so many per team to win. And so we pumped out maybe 3 or 4 of these games in a row during the New Year's holiday before we move on to another game. So I think it's a good game for the holidays for lots of people. I think it's a good game because it's simple to learn, and I think it's probably not deserving of number 1 on the list, but it's pretty close to the top. So I'm going to give it also a 9 because I think this is a great follow-up game to the 2rooms&aboom that we've already talked about, and I can't pick between them. I let other people pick.
Well, I definitely like 2 Rooms better, I think.
Yeah, I do.
I think it depends to me on how many people you got. 2rooms&aboom, if you've got 30 people or 20 people or lots and lots of people, it's definitely going to win. But Codenames, if you've got like 6 to 8, this is almost, to me, I would rather play it. But, it's a preference thing.
What's your score?
9.
9.
Well, I think you hit on something there for me, which is the reason I'm not going to be able to rate this game as high, and the reason I'm having a little hard time seeing it as number 1 on the party rankings right now is I don't think this is really a party game. I think this game really is better with 4, 5, 6 people, maybe 8 people at the most. So I guess maybe if you want to consider in a small group, a party game, then I guess it definitely shines in that category. But to me, I think if you had a big table full of people, you're going to have a lot of folks feeling left out. You're going to have people, because you can have an unlimited number of people guessing, but eventually they have to agree and point at one word. And you're going to have people always feeling like they're not being listened to, and maybe that's part of the game. I don't know, but anyway. I don't think this game really translates really well if you have a huge group of people, and so for that reason, I don't think it's a great party game, but I do think it's a good game, and I think it's fun. It goes pretty quick. It's a easy concept to understand and get people around the table, and you're going to have people that just like to play games that'll have fun with it, and then you're going to have people that like to try to solve a puzzle or like just to be kind of challenged. That you're going to kind of engage them also, because their competitive side's going to come out. Maybe they don't like to roll dice, but they might be competitive when it comes to trying to deduce or solve a problem or something. So anyway, I think it's a good game, but I don't know that it really, to me, it doesn't fit in the party game category.
He never goes to parties with less than 8 people. It's so popular.
That's right. So it's kind of hard for me to. I'm going to score it more for just as a game itself, and for that I give it an 8. I think it is a fun game and it's a neat concept, but I don't think it's really a party game.
I want to say that you are incorrect about your whole theory on that. I think 8 people, 8 people is about the butter zone for this game. Actually, I think
6,
I think 4-man teams is about right. And I think that a game that would play 8 people is what I would consider a party game. I mean, what are you looking for in a party game? It's kind of like take care of 20 people's entertainment.
Yes.
You're not going to find that. I mean,
2rooms&aboom. We just talked about
okay,
it.
yeah, that's a good example.
And there'll be more coming too.
Yeah, but I think a game that plays 8 people is what I would consider a party game.
Well, you must be right because it's listed number 1 on the list.
Because
like I said, I'm probably alone in that opinion, but that's where I'm at with it.
I like the game.
You are the dissenting opinion.
Yeah. Even though I disagree with you, it is in my eyes a party game. I don't think it's all that really. I mean, I didn't see anything. It's a game where it's almost like a card version of charades. You're trying to make people guess at what you're indicating with, not just saying it's a moon or whatever. You're trying to describe words on the cards and have people say that's what you're talking about right there.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new there. I mean, it's cool, and I like those games because it provides a lot of interaction with the team because, I'll throw out a clue or whatever, and the other team will be trying to decide, which 2 or 3 words I'm trying to describe, or even just one word or whatever. And a lot of times, whenever you're so off base on giving a clue, that's even the best because people are like, "What were you thinking?"
Yeah.
That's it made sense in my mind and only in your mind because other people won't see it the same way. Mm-hmm. It's a fun game, but nothing new there. It's a charade game,
It really is. And much like charades, if you can't be poker faced, if you can't be deadpan, you're going to give the game away. Because
because a lot of people,
if you're getting excited,
or you'll be looking at, you're trying not to look at the cards or whatever, or in the general direction of where they would be on there. So I'm going to give this game a 7. I enjoyed playing it, but nothing new, and it's a charade kind of game.
So as most party games like charades, it's not a party game.
Or that's what Mike would say.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I think the cool thing about the game, though, that takes it above just a regular old guessing game, is that if you ever get behind, then you're forced into like fitting together 3 cards with 1 word. And that gets a little interesting.
And it can be done though, because sometimes you're gonna give out 1 clue, and your team may guess 1 card. You can only do 1 card per clue or whatever, because everything else is so varied that there's like no way I could come up with 1 word to indicate these 3
cards. You gotta
cards.
remember your previous clues.
Yeah. But and I think it also helps if people know each other too really well, like people of like mind, or have in jokes or stuff, like I could probably get away with clues that other people wouldn't know if I weren't as, didn't have such a history with them or whatever.
Familiar.
Yeah, familiarity, it can help in this game,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Yeah.
All right, there's our second team, and I think you're going to start off with a third game.
Yeah, the third party game we wanted to talk about is Wits and Wagers. This one's been around there for a little while, and this, to me, satisfies what you really want in a party game, which is you could have a whole lot of people, and you can team up in this, but you're not going to really feel like you're being left out.
But this game would probably play comfortably in the 6 to 8 person zone also, because
It
even if
would,
you
but I
have
think
5
it'd be a
people
lot
on a
more fun
team,
with
you're
more.
going to pick one answer.
That's true.
right.
That's right. That's right. But
So-
then you're going to lay out your placards, and then you can pick somebody else's answers. So there's a chance for that dissenting voice to be heard to say, "See, I told you that it was probably this. Look how many people are saying it's this." So that gives those other voices a chance to speak up and be
Is
heard.
that bipolar
So-
or split personality, where you condemn at one time and then
I don't
3
know.
minutes later you're
Completely different games, and that's the point. That's what I'm saying. I like the way Wits and Wagers works a little bit better for bigger groups, and that therefore I think it's a better party game. I've played with different age groups, and young and old. Young and old, they all like it. So I think this is a little bit better of a concept, and for me, it's just a more fun game. So therefore, it's going to get a better score, and it gets an 8.5. It's nothing that hasn't been done before either, because it's basically trivia. But I like the way that it lays out, and the way you can kind of spread your wagers around and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's to me a better party game. Not that all these games aren't great or they wouldn't be on the list, but this one's a little better at doing what Codenames is trying to do.
I agree with most of what you're saying, and I think this is a party game. Like I said, once again, you're going to hit it right about in the butter zone. About 8 people, 6 to 10, somewhere in there would be great. I don't know if this game is so much for younger kids, because really it is a trivia game, and a lot of this stuff, I mean, I don't
Just
think a little kid would just
general knowledge.
general knowledge
Yeah,
know
that's
it.
true. That's true.
Of course, the adults playing it, sometimes you'll be like, no way, that is really the answer to that. I mean, sometimes I'll miss it by a mile,
It's a lot of times. I think they're meant to be very.
It is. They're
difficult.
asking those questions where maybe you have an idea of what it really is or what you think it is, and the answer is way far off.
Yeah.
And, that's probably why they pick some of those questions. They aren't all softballs being pitched to you or whatever. Some of them are fastball,
A couple curveballs in there.
curveballs even. So, but I like the game, and it adds the bidding factor to it. I know you like that in quite a few
Most
games or whatever.
degenerative gamblers do. So, yeah, that's a good thing.
But yeah, but I mean, every team will write what they believe the answer to be or the number or whatever on these cards. They're a dry erase, which is a cool element and everything, So the team will write on there, and then other people will actually bet on what answers they think the answer is to the question or whatever. And so it's pretty neat, and it provides a lot of interaction on the teams and stuff. But I don't know. It's a game that I enjoy playing, but it's one that I'm not going to just push for all the time either. There's nothing new to it really.
Right.
It's a trivia game.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
cool.
a new spin on trivia. Yeah.
But I mean, it is hard to find good games that 8 or 10 people can play.
Right.
And this was pretty cool. So I'm going to go a 7 on Wits and Wagers.
Yeah, this Wits and Wagers, I played this at the same group of people that I played Codenames with over the holidays, and it's we played about, I think, 6 people. And I would say, after playing with this group of people, are not your board gamers. They are my in-laws, and so they they have a different perspective on games than I do, because I'm looking for different things than they are. They're just looking to have fun like the old days when they played Trivial Pursuit or something, and this game fits that, and that's why I think this game walks the line for being a Kmart, being in the sold in Target or Kmart, whereas you don't have to go to a specialty store to buy it.
Yeah.
Because that's the group that really loves this game, and they love this game. And this game, if you ever played Say Anything, this game is basically the same game, only your answers are numbers, whereas in Say Anything, you can write anything on your tablet and everybody votes on the right answer, which is another version of Apples to Apples, basically. So, except for the dry erase. They're all fitting the same niche, though. You wouldn't want to have all three of those games at the same party and expect any to get a different reaction because they're the same basic game to me. But because it's not to me, not a gamer's game, it loses some points for me because I prefer those, and so it's not going to get the 9 that I gave the other two. And I think Codenames fits that gamer's version better, which is why maybe you think it suffers at parties.
Could be.
And I think the group I played with preferred this Wits and Wagers over over Codenames because it's
Did
more.
they?
Yes, they did, but I don't. So I would say Wits and Wagers is a fun time for a large group of people who don't normally play board games, and for that, if that's your audience, this game is I'd say 825.
Nice.
All right, I
Me
think,
again?
Yep.
I'm going to go with Great Dalmuti. The game's been around. We've probably played it for 20 years or so. As a matter of fact, we checked right
Almost
before we
30
started
years.
filming.
Well, not 20 years.
Your deck was made in 95.
Yeah.
So
That's when my son was born. That's 20 years.
his version of Dalmuti is, 21 years old. And I remember playing it basically for that. I remember playing it whenever we were in college. You know?
Magic and Great Dalmuti.
Yep,
Magic
yep.
and Great Dalmuti.
If you've never played Dalmuti before, it's just a card game, and you're trying to get rid of all your cards before anybody else because it's like a hierarchy. It's like a
It's a trick-taking game.
Yep, basically. And the highest person is going to be Great Dalmuti. The first person to get rid of all their cards in a round. Next game, they will be the Great Dalmuti, and it goes all the way to the greater peon.
Yeah.
And so basically, it doesn't matter if you're in the middle,
Merchants.
the merchants or whatever, but greater peon is everybody's flunky. Playing the game, you can tell them to go make you a glass of soda or go get some chips or rub your shoulders while you're thinking about what you're going to do or whatever. They are your slave in this game, and nobody wants to be the greater peon. But the thing is, if you abuse the power too much, people remember how you treated them when you were a peon, and you will get it back tenfold. Trust me. But basically, yeah, it's a matching numbers game. Trying to, like, if I throw out 3 8s, the next person in line has got to get under that, like 3 7s or 3 6s or whatever. The rules are super simple. There's nothing to it. Kids can play this game, and kids get quite a bit of enjoyment out of beating one another in it
And
too.
forcing their parents to go get them something to do.
Yeah. So, Great Dalmuti's been around forever, and there's a reason. It's a really cool card game. I mean, there's a lot of games, like it and everything, but I'd like to think this was one of the forerunners of kind of doing this and everything. It's cool, especially giving out the roles for it too. It bumps it up from being a simple card game to a little bit something more, and that's really cool at parties too and everything. Because if you're in a party mode and razzing on your buddies, then you can really abuse that greater peon thing. So I'm going to give Great Dalmuti. It's one of my favorite card games. I'd play it again anytime, and I've played it plenty of times before. I'm going to go 9 for Great Dalmuti. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think Richard Garfield put out this game. He was the same guy who did Magic back in the 90s. And he even says in the intro to the...
Magic? What's that? Never heard of that before.
Something reminds me of that game. But he even says in the intro to the little booklet you get with the game that this is not his concept. He saw this game in college, but he refined it and added a few rules to it, like the whole revolution and passing. But anyway, yeah, it's basically you always, and I don't think it says anywhere in the rules that you can make people do stuff. That's just the way we play it.
That's not an
I
actual
don't
rule.
think
That's
that's
the way
an
we've
actual-
always played that game.
We play it that everything's a hierarchy going around the table to the greater Dalmuti to the less or greater peon, and if you're above someone in the hierarchy, you can make anyone below you do whatever you want.
If that's not
Push-ups.
a rule, that's you. Everybody needs to play Dalmuti that way.
There's no
It adds something
reason
to
for
the
that.
game.
We never
yeah.
played any differently than
Yeah.
that. But there's also, it's a card counting game where there's only 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s,
Yeah.
9 9s, etc. And so if 3 3s have been played, nobody can beat you if you have a 4. If the 2 and the 1's been played.
Yeah, there's strategy to it for
Yeah.
something as simple as one thing. And man, the game can change. You can be in the lead all the way through 3/4 of the game. And if somebody gets on a roll, on a tear, that's your booty right there because the game can change in an instant.
And I like to think I'm pretty good at most games, but this game I'm never really good at. I never get the greater Dalmuti, hardly ever. But it's still very fun to play. I never turned down an offer to play this game.
Yeah.
And I would say, if it's between this and a traditional card game, like even, maybe not spades, I think I'd probably play spades over this, but any other poker type hand game, this is much more fun for large groups. So anyway, to wrap it all up for my score, I think this is one of the greatest card games for parties that I've ever seen, and so I'm going to give it a 9.5.
High scoring game.
This is a really good card game for parties, and it might be the best card game for big parties. But I can't give it quite that high of a rating just because the gameplay itself. I mean, it's Michigan Rummy, or it's
Never heard of that
Never
before.
played it.
similar to your the final stage of bridge where you're running the cards out and everything.
How old are you?
He has a
Cards, play a
Thursday
lot
night
of
bridge
cards.
match at Golden
Yeah.
Girls with the Golden Girls.
So anyway,
Our
the
audience
game-
is not that old.
I
No.
got you. I hear you.
They
Well,
don't
we're
even know
gonna
what
edit all of this
they
out.
don't even know what rummy is.
Oh yeah, well,
Some of them. So,
Michigan Rummy,
So-
though, that sounds like something you do in the back room somewhere.
All right, so take 2.
Hey kids, how we doing out there? This game is rad.
Wow.
how much for a Michigan rummy? Oh, it's like $3. Not all of y'all will get that.
That's probably a good thing.
All right, so yeah, this is a very good big group party game, and it's fun.
Yeah,
You have a good
yeah.
time. You're moving around the table, and
Not
you know,
actually. You stay stationary in the table. The turn goes around the table.
well, but then at the end of the round, you
Oh, yeah,
move,
that's true.
You
That's
move
true.
to your new station. It's all about classes and hierarchy and stations and
The
that
way
kind
it
of
should
stuff.
be.
So.
The way it should be.
And like they said, you can be a jerk on top, but remember, you could end up at the bottom that very next time, and people are going to remember that likely, So it's a fun game to see who wants to push it, and who's going to maybe end up having to eat some crow later on and stuff like that. So it's good for that. But as far as the gameplay itself, if you play just about any other kind of trick taking game, you're familiar with what's going on there. So it's a pretty simple thing, but the beauty of it is how well it works with a big group of people. So all in all, in the end, for me, it comes in at a 7.5. Gets high ranks for being a good game for big groups, but points knocked off for the gameplay itself is a little dull. So there
But
you go.
that's a score from a man that used words Michigan rummy and eating crow. I mean, he's got it right there on the pulse of today's generation. He's like, you
No
grew up on A Street, not these streets, but A Street.
All right, we're going to wrap this up with one more game. Why not? A game called Concept, which I got as a Christmas present last year, and I played it a half a dozen times through the year this year. It only seems to come out at parties for me. I don't know that it was meant to be that way. It's kind of like charades, using a board and pictures rather than actually acting them out. So you're trying to get them to guess your concept based off of picture clues, and you use these little colored markers to kind of guide them through, movie sounds like.
And there's a ton of choices you can indicate with the mark. What I like about it is there are different colored markers you can put on there like one color may be your primary idea. This is the primary thing I'm going for, and if people aren't quite honing in on that, you can use like red for primary ideas and blue for like secondary or tertiary ideas or stuff like that. Like you're on the right track, but here's what I'm going to add to that. You know, so there's I like that. You can build on an idea where that's quite a bit different. You know,
And it's a good team game, so you can have like teams of two trying to guess, or teams of three, I guess, two people guessing a third person's concept and trying to. Anyway, it's a good party game, and that seems to be the only time we play it is when I have at least 6 to more people.
you would need that many to have fun with this game. I
think so.
Yep.
But it's basically just charades. So they took an idea that's old as time itself, and they just kind of twisted it a little bit by putting pictures with it. And so I give them credit for that. It's a fun game, and it makes me want to play charades again, which I haven't done in a long time.
I don't think I've ever actually played charades
Ever?
before. Never.
But,
I've never like sat on
Played
couch and
that.
people be like, never.
No, it sounds like
Yeah.
loser. No. Yeah. So yeah, you can tell he's never played charades. He can't talk during
Never.
charades.
Never.
So I'm going to give it a lower than I've been giving these other games score, probably around a 7.5, which is where they've kind of given these other games. But it's definitely a niche party type game for me,
Yeah.
but it's worth bringing out every once in a while.
Yeah, this game for me surprised me a little bit. I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. I think the first time I encountered it, I just watched people playing it, and I thought, so-so. And then I played it myself, and I liked it more than I kind of anticipated that I would. This is a good group game. It's good for teaming up and trying to see if you can kind of lock in with your team's, train of thought. And it is pretty ingenious the way the board is set up to where you can lead them down different threads of thought to try to lead back to that concept, that main concept that you're working on. So this game really works out really well for me, and sometimes you can get that paralysis where people just sort of freeze and they can't decide where to start with a good clue.
Maybe a little
But that's
timer might help.
Yeah, and that's
Does it
gonna,
come with the timer?
I think that
Yeah.
comes with the
Yeah.
time.
and that's going to happen with any game like this. You see that in charades all the time. Someone just stands up there and I don't, doesn't know what to do. So I don't really think that's the fault of the game, but you're going to run into that sometimes. But otherwise, I think this is a pretty strong game, and I think it comes in at an 8.
I think what I'm going to add to that, to everything y'all have said, a couple of different things. The age of this game, I don't know what the minimum age suggested for this is. Some of these questions are going to, like,
10 and up.
yeah, I think that may be
pushing
a
it,
little
maybe.
young
Yeah,
because I think a lot of 10-year-olds, there are going to be some words and phrases or whatever in there that I don't think they're going to know.
I agree.
I would probably go teens and
Yeah,
up. It's
yeah.
really good for adults because I tell you what, even some of those things, you'll see it, or I did as a grown man, and I'm like, I have no idea what that is, or I don't know how to describe that on the board.
Crazy phrases like "eat crow." I mean,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
hears those
Like
things?
back in the
Phrases like
20s,
that.
it would have been hopping or whatever you old people called it back then.
There are levels. There are like the difficulty levels of words, so you can choose everyone who's going to do a yellow word or,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, levels.
Level.
Matter of fact, I think we might have house ruled it a little bit where if you chose to pick a tougher word, you maybe got more points for it, because some of those tough words are really tough,
Yeah.
And the only thing I also noticed about it,
Flugelhorn.
it's got so many descriptors on the board that you'll have a little sheet that comes with it because it's like icons or whatever, and you're going to place your marker on that icon to indicate a TV show or temperature or humid or leaky or whatever, And some of those aren't really obvious, or there's so many of them you have trouble remembering what they all are sometimes. So you'll sometimes be looking at that sheet thinking, okay, this is what that icon is, and that's what I'm looking for to describe this word. So there's a little bit of a, I don't know if you call it a learning curve, but, well, I guess it would be because you're trying to look at the whole board and say, what all can I use to describe this, whatever. So there's a little bit of that involved too. But all in all, I liked the game. I thought it was pretty cool. It's a charade game,
Yep.
you know. So, but I do like where you can go individual, you know, extra threads. And I think that may make it's not only more in depth, but there's more you can, you know,
Well, yeah, you
different ways you
can
go
do
with it than a basic charade-like game would be.
good
You know.
colors, which you can't do in charades.
Yeah.
You could say,
Yeah.
you know, country,
Yeah.
red, white, green,
Yeah.
and or maybe it's Italy, maybe
And
it's.
I think it would add, it helps out there whenever you can leave those threads instead of somebody trying to remember what charade you did 5 minutes ago or 2 minutes ago, and now you're on to something else, you know. So it's got that element to it too. So it's like a more in-depth board game of charades, I guess is what I call it. I'm gonna go 8 on it. I liked it, you know, pretty cool game. Nothing just revolutionary, but I dug what they did there. Yeah.
And the word grown man is really just a
Grown,
stretch.
grown a man is what I am here. It's a stretch.
All right, there are some of the games that we've played over the party season, and maybe you can try some when you play at your own parties and tell us what you think. But we're going to go ahead and list them out here because it's a little different than what we normally do in the order that we rank them. Kind of make the scores cumulative. And next week we'll get back to reviewing games the good old-fashioned way, which is the way we like to do them. And until then, see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is technically not a board game. It's a computer game / booklet that you get with the computer game, but it's the best $15 you'll spend this party season.
It's pretty cool.
The concept is one guy's on the computer and he's the bomb diffuser, and the other people, however many you got, I think we had like 6, are trying to, in another room, tell him how to defuse the bomb with this huge, complicated manual. On the surface, it doesn't seem that exciting, but boy, when you're trying to got a bomb fixing to go off, it's
Yeah, because there's like 6 or 7 different elements that this bomb can be composed of, and you've got to
more than that, like 15 or 16 different things.
Well, I mean, like there's keypads, there's wires that you've got to cut, there's all kinds
Symbols.
of symbols and stuff. And I tell you what, it seems like there was a couple of those. It was the element where it's got 4 buttons and then a number on a screen right above it.
Yeah.
Horrible hard.
Yeah, sometimes you have to refer to the number from 2
How
steps
can you
prior.
not? How can you not remember that? I mean, it's like 5 steps to
Yeah.
complete that, but it'd be like, okay, blah blah, press 2, blah blah, press 4, and then you go all the way in. It's like, okay, press the number that is the same as the numeric equivalent of what you press in the first step, and you'd be like, I was keeping up with something totally
Exactly.
different, you know.
And if you get it wrong, not only do you have to start
Yeah.
over, the timer starts going.
The timer
faster.
goes faster and faster.
I think this is a step towards what's going to happen in the next couple of years towards virtual reality
Very
games.
interactive.
You can actually get this game on
VR?
VR already, and so you
Cool.
can basically defusing the bomb, turning it around, in space, and this is where games are going. I think.
Didn't you say some people play that with their phones also?
Yeah, you can do it with FaceTime or whatever the Google version of that is.
Yeah, you don't want to be like right with them. You'll have like the way we did it, where the guy trying to deactivate the bomb was in one room, and then another room over was everybody else, and we had a runner going back and forth.
which
you
made it
know.
even more heartpounding.
Yeah, because now you're adding the game of telephone to the game of
Yeah.
defusing a bomb.
It's a cool game, and it's I haven't seen that concept before really, but it's super cool. A lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yep.
All right.
We gonna play?